Hello, dear friends. Bringing light into darkness is a turbulent process with a happy ending. Opinion piece. Turbulent Shift. Illuminated path. Order through chaos. False mass extinction event. Outdated catastrophist map. We have crossed the threshold. Something immense is approaching. Chaos is not the enemy but the teacher. The collapse of structures produces chaos. Humanity is advancing at an accelerated pace. It's not the end of the world, but the end of oblivion. Let's start. The process of eradicating every last drop of darkness is turbulent, and many people face health, financial, employment, relationship, or other challenges, according to Matthew through his mother Susan Ward. The high frequency that underpins all light-based action also compels souls to see situations that need changing, even without being aware that these changes will bring them experiences they choose in prenatal contracts. After reaching the peak of chaos, the fall of the dark beings will be unstoppable. During their zigzag descent, the truth will gradually come to light. Popular movements will gain strength and influence. Doubles will be exposed. Wars will cease. More evildoers will be arrested. Unjustly imprisoned people will be freed. Global alliances will be established for humanitarian projects. Ill-gotten fortunes will be recovered, and countries will reclaim their natural resources. Order through chaos means that a new structure can emerge from disorder, uncertainty, or crisis. Simply put, chaos not only destroys, but can also be a process that allows for reorganization at a higher level. The phrase does not imply that chaos is inherently good, but rather that it can be a transitional phase. Nor does it imply a fixed or definitive order, but rather a dynamic and ever-changing one. From a spiritual perspective, order through chaos means that chaos is a necessary phase of transformation, in which the soul, mind, or energy reorganizes itself at a higher level of consciousness and harmony. Chaos is not an enemy, but a teacher that breaks down all the structures to allow for spiritual rebirth. From this inner disorder emerges a new order, greater clarity, purpose, connection with one's essence, and alignment with universal processes. In Taoist philosophy, disorder is part of the natural flow of life because it is a bridge to harmony. Chaos represents the movement of Taoist energy, which, although it seems confusing, has underlying patterns. In Greek mythology, chaos is the primordial void that existed before the creation of the cosmos. Cosmic order always arises from the original chaos. Catastrophism. According to ominous rumors, there would be massive tsunamis that would flood all coastal regions, changing the geography of the planet, and this was supposed to happen in 4 or 5 years. That's why everyone living on the coast is being asked to move inland, and people are doing so. But Matthew assures us that such a catastrophe is not part of Earth's future. We cannot rule out the possibility that someone has spread the description of catastrophic changes in land and sea masses, which would have global repercussions. However, this has all the hallmarks of the dark side's desperate need to generate fear. They need the low frequency of that energy for their own survival. Matthew has spoken about this on several occasions and has always assured us not to worry about the rumors of a false mass extinction, even that is making many people nervous. The Galactic Council, working with Earth, knew that remaining stuck in the density of third plane could be catastrophic if this opportunity for ascension were missed, and detailed maps of possible effects were provided. Out of love for Gaia and its inhabitants, civilizations sent forth an even more intense light. Other powerful civilizations joined them, and a growing number of volunteers incarnated. The new-found abundance of energy allowed Earth to embark on a path of ascension, and the catastrophic map became obsolete. Pay no attention to any information that generates fear. Feel safe and optimistic, and love yourselves because we can handle this. Illuminated path. What is coming is, without a doubt, an illuminated path. A group of highly respected individuals with moral and spiritual integrity and a long history of leadership will serve all peoples with wisdom and awareness. This is the government of the Golden Age, and in the future the population will be joyful, healthy, productive, innovative and prosperous. The tenacious puppets of darkness will not allow these changes to occur without resistance, but their efforts will be futile because these changes are necessary and unstoppable. The current ways are not viable part of the new economic system in which all national currencies are based on precious metals. This system will be implemented once darkness has been eradicated. During this final stage of the battle between the forces of light and darkness, growing outrage over inflation, commodity shortages, and the conflict in the Middle East is commonplace. But the most significant action remains hidden. Influential countries and factions are aligning themselves against the dark side to eradicate its political and economic control, along with the victory of the White Hats. Revelation. Rumors are circulating that an official government disclosure about beings from other worlds is imminent. If we listen closely, we discover that the Dark Hats are behind the disclosure and that their goal is to make us believe an alien invasion is imminent. An invasion they themselves have faked so that we panic and clamor for a world government to save the planet. Their goal has always been world domination, and their contingency plan has been to fake an alien invasion. The original idea was to use the little grace members of a young civilization from Zeta Reticuli who came to Earth for personal reasons and became trapped in the planet's density. After the near destruction of a humanoid civilization by radioactivity thousands of years ago, some inhabitants took refuge underground and lived in caverns. To adapt to the limitations of that environment, they focused on mental development and the suppression of feelings, and those who eventually emerged no longer resembled their ancestral civilization. During the millennia, they lived underground. Their physical form and features changed drastically, and they evolved consciously, but they lacked emotions. To fill this unnatural void, some made pacts with souls to whom they were linked and who would incarnate on Earth. According to the pact, those from Zeta Reticuli extracted eggs and tissue samples from these individuals to implant into their people. The hope was that the hybrids would have human emotions and that in 2 or 3 generations, everyone in their world would have them. However, the visitors became bound to Earth's density and were unable to leave. That happened about 50 years ago, and since then they have lived in the extensive system of secret tunnels of the dark side. When the people of Zeta Reticuli refused to participate in the fake alien invasion, the members of the dark side resorted to Plan B, a holographic representation, and they may try again. We don't believe they yet have the capability to pull it off, but they are desperate and might try. In such a case, the ET Special Forces members would turn the supposed invasion into a truly impressive show. Religions. Conscious human beings are realizing that religions, in distorted forms over centuries, were designed to instill beliefs rather than fulfill the spiritual needs of their followers. As the population progresses in awareness and spiritually, people will abandon ritual and retain the spiritual aspect of their beliefs. Throughout the ages, all religions have been hijacked by puppets of darkness. They erased from the sacred text all references to a supreme being, the interconnectedness of all souls, innate abilities, and the power of light, and inserted fabricated passages about infidels, the slaughter of ungodly non-believers, and a vengeful God, eternal damnation, male dominance, and myths about the life and teaching of Jesus. This narrative produced emotions and divisions of such intensity that millions of people have died in wars over the last 1,000 years to defend or spread their religious beliefs, or perhaps only those of their rulers. The majority of Muslims in Europe are peaceful people who don't impose their faith on others, but the dark side hired mercenaries to join religious extremists and sow chaos in order to generate Islamophobia. The intention was to provoke so much fear, hatred, and discrimination among the population that the tension would erupt into a religious war. Opinions. Kavamur suggests that the promised new world may involve truth and ascension, although the followers' disappointment stems from misaligned expectations. But he highlights a more favorable future. Why would the new world be promised if revealing the truth entails massive suffering? That doesn't make sense, unless what's to come is much better. This story is coming to an end according to Benjamin Fulford. A secret war is being waged to remove those who are preventing the arrest of the bad guys. The situation has escalated to the point where they are facing off. Special forces from different groups are battling each other. The courts have begun their work, and direct action continues because it is a fight for humanity's survival. A golden age will begin once we have ended the reign of the dark side. The greatest sign of change is not what is happening in the world according to Keshe. It is the growing number of souls who refuse to abandon love despite it all. In a time when fear, division, and uncertainty seem to surround humanity, more and more people are choosing compassion over judgment, unity over separation, and hope over despair. This quiet but powerful decision is transforming the collective consciousness from within. The new earth is born not only from external events, but from the courage of awakened souls who continue to embody love when it would be easier to succumb to fear. Humanity is much closer to transcendence than most believe. What appears to be chaos on the surface is, from a higher perspective, the final collapse of structures that can no longer sustain an awakening species. It is not only the old world collapsing, it is relinquishing its hold on human consciousness. Collective humanity has already crossed an energetic threshold. The question is no longer whether ascension will occur, but with what grace each individual chooses the journey through it. The collective field now contains enough light to make a complete return to the previous cycle impossible. Humanity is advancing at an accelerated pace. Many souls present didn't come simply to witness this transformation. They incarnated to stabilize the frequency of compassion, truth, and unity during this crucial era. It is said that every act of kindness, forgiveness, and unconditional love creates energetic pathways that facilitate the awakening of others. Thus, awakened souls are not mere participants in change, but living bridges between worlds. The veils are fading, almost becoming transparent. As consciousness rises, intuition strengthens, synchronicity multiplies, and inner certainty of being connected to something much greater than the physical world is experienced. What once seems extraordinary will gradually become natural as humanity remembers its multidimensional essence. Much of humanity senses that something immense is approaching because it remembers that humanity has never walked alone. A sacred reunion is approaching as consciousness rises. A reunion not only with our divine nature, but also with our star brothers and sisters, who have avoided the moment when humanity was ready to remember its cosmic heritage. Therefore, what is perceived is not the end of the world, but the end of forgetting and the emergence of a new octave of consciousness. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.